Hello. Oh yeah, there's Twitch chat. Okay, I'll move this over a little bit. Let me just make sure the screen's all set up. Amy did their best to try and remind me to eat slow, but I failed. So I'm coming right off some spicy food, so I'm a little take a minute to collect myself, and then we'll start in just a moment. Oh, thank you. Yeah, watermelon shirt. Music was too loud. Thank you, Young Strike. How's the music now? I want it to be, I mean, now the song's ending, but I want the music to be very low for state of the game. Just something to fill the gaps of silence. And when I sit back, which is kind of pretty natural, I definitely shrink. Let me try and angle this a little differently. So now if I'm sitting back, I'm pretty center frame, but if I lean forward because I'm excited, I'll try that. Okay. Start this sadga. I will start after a little hydration. Just a little more. Yeah, it's mono all over again. Oh no. 6 stream RIP. Just a little bit of energy because I woke up at 7:30 this morning with a lot of back pain. I just like slept in the wrong position, so a little tired, but we'll do it. Okay, we're up to 15 viewers. That's enough for me. Welcome everyone. I'm just blanking. Thank you for the follow, Demerge FGC. Welcome to the very spooky Halloween edition of the Tough Love Arena State of the Game. As per usual, we'll be going through a very simple schedule. We'll cover the past. What did we accomplish last month? What's going on right now? How do I feel about the game in its current state? And too wacky this stuff. No, Amy, I'm gonna ham this up. I gotta get the editor log of material. we'll talk about what's coming up in the next month, what you can look forward to in the short term, and of course we'll have the famous Q&A, except a little bit spookier. I am Dracula. Anyways, past. I like to clap because I know it fucks up the levels. All right, past. Let's do it. What did we do this last month? Last time on the State of the Game, I pledged to do these things, and we did them all. Kind of. Maybe an asterisk on this one. But otherwise, very productive month. Very pleased. We successfully added some new sound effects. There's more waiting to be added. We experimented with Blue Life, aka we nuked it. We definitely reworked Noodle a lot. I know that might not sound very recent, but it was about 3 weeks ago that the big Noodle patch went out. I know everyone's super used to it now, but we did continue to add a little bit of mod support, fixing some minor bugs, and we shipped the desktop release. But we'll talk about that more in a second. Oh, Kung Fu Calf One says, Paul, please skip Plastic Fangs next year for October. I plan to ham up for the month, but I figured it's only October 4th. It's so early. But I'm currently planning to be in costume for the Halloween tournament. Planning to. We'll see. It's an old costume. I have to make sure it still fits after the old quarantine 20. So, but yeah, I'll try to ham it up there. So, bunch of the features we pushed. Not going to go over them. Feel free to read the slides or the changelog, but very pleased that we were able to get out this many stuff, considering that I was pretty heads down on a larger project, the desktop project. Likewise, lots of tech debt improvements and fixes. Particularly, I'm really excited about this one, sprite mirroring. So this was a change that went out just about a week ago that should halve our bandwidth and our costs, and also the bandwidth usages for our dear precious players, and if they're trying to play TLA on data or something. So this is a win for everyone. It adds a small little bit of time. I tried to describe this in the changelog, and I did a bad job of doing it. If you had a machine with really fast processing power and slow download speed, then this will actually make you load faster because there's less to download, and then just processes the images. But if you have a slower machine, or if you have really good internet speed, the loading will take a little bit longer because it's downloading half as much and then doing a bunch of processing client side. Anyways, super happy with the amount of tech debt we got done. Render FPS was another huge one. Very excited about that. That might be an accident. I think that might have been the last day of the game. I think this might have been like the break of the last day of the game. That might have happened like September 2nd or something. But so maybe cut me bragging about that, Amy. That's a typo. But it's really important as a developer to be shipping features, but also not making sure that your code base remains manageable and workable. And so having opportunities to work on tech debt like this, having opportunities to go back and reevaluate why are we doing images this way can be really helpful and really impactful. And lastly, from a community perspective, we've continued to update the Hall of Fame, usually within a couple of days. I know I'm late on this most recent weekend, TLGs, but I'll have that up tomorrow. Listing all the modding changes, because I view those as, community changes, not for the random new player, but for our existing enfranchised players. The desktop release, of course, a big one, and sprite mirroring, and oh my god, I missed a parentheses. Okay, I'm going to draw a parentheses with the laser pointer. But the other hidden benefit of the sprite redesign is it's going to make the workflow for doing really intense mods, custom character mods, which is on the roadmap. When we get to that point, it'll make it a lot easier. A lot less things to manage. And already with the desktop release, there's just less things to have to replace. So, yeah, can we get a parentheses in chat? Thank you, Kenny Rose. Very supportive. So let's talk about that desktop version. So this is what I was excited about for a long time, what I thought would be possible, because what we're using is an existing existing technology called Electron, which basically takes a stripped down version of Chromium, the open source version of Chrome, takes your HTML and JavaScript files and image files, and then runs a little local web server and a little specialized web app that just connects to that web server and puts it in a Windows box or a Mac box. So when I talk about ports, the reason why I'm confident I could do desktop and why I could do mobile is because I'm still running the front end code I wrote. Like, more than half the code I wrote isn't engine code. It's really front end code for the menus and handling all the different permutations of states and the training overlay and all these things. So being able to reuse that by basically imitating a browser in the desktop app, or hopefully soon potentially imitating a browser via a web view in a mobile app, means I can basically have the same experience, but maybe package it a little bit nicer. Maybe give it a few, have all the files available offline, so you don't have to worry about losing connection and running an offline event or taking your phone on the subway. And two, it makes modding easier. It makes modding possible. The future tools I'm going to build are essentially going to be on top of the desktop version. And 3, you get to build extra little plugins. So now, if there are any use cases people can think of for additional things to add to desktop, different integrations, those could be possible for mobile in particular, giving you more control over, being full screen and not having to fight with like the browser's full screen. That's the stuff that gets me really excited. So this has always been a really daunting task. I tried to do it back in July, put about a week into it, got stuck, and decided like I'm spinning my wheels on this. There's a million other things I need to work on, and so I put it on pause. Actually, no. I think I put it on pause because I got sick. I think that's when I got mono. It was like July 10th or something. So then I'm sick for like 2 months, and the ball gets dropped. Like a lot of other balls in my life at the time. So it was really invigorating to get back to it, and within about a week, really sort of finish it. It was miserable work. I'm glad to be moving on to other things. But, yeah, it was good. Not a week total. I definitely did like a week of work before, so we'll say it was like 2 weeks. I'm not trying to brag about my speed or anything, or other people could hear that and say that sounds really slow. But anyways, I'm getting way off topic. We need to keep getting through these slides. There's a lot of slides. We removed blue life and added walking forward meter. This is a very radical change we just made like 2 days ago. And so for people who aren't aware or haven't seen it, as Beef walks forward, Beef gradually gains bar. It's not super fast. I think it takes about like 6 or 7 seconds to build 1 bar. So let's talk about blue life. I've seen a lot of people in Discord really happy to see it gone. I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh no, I wish it was still around. It could totally be fixed." I like this song. I think this is the one. Anyways, so what happened with blue life? TLA is trying to be a simple game. One of our core design principles. I can't talk tonight. I have to start this 5 times. Okay. Thank you, all 23 people watching right now, for being patient with me. TLA is designed to be TLA was designed to be a beginner-friendly game, to be an introductory game to the 2D fighting genre. I am more than happy if people are coming from not playing fighting games or coming from platformer fighters like Smash and Rivals, and they're too intimidated by Street Fighter, they're too intimidated by Guilty Gear, and they play TLA first. And it's a nice little on-ramp, and I fully expect them to at some point, get bored of the game. There's only 6 characters, and so they graduate to, Melty Blood or something. That was my original dream, and I'm amazed and really pleased with all the people who have stuck around, and we've tried our best to make the game interesting and balanced and worth playing. And my webcam froze. Let me fix that real quick. One moment. Which one is the webcam? Okay, it's that one. We unplug. We replug. We go into the OBS settings. There it is. Okay, we're moving again. Okay, cool. Paul, do the grunty line if you still remember. So, where were we? I'm really pleased with the... Oh, the camera got all jacked. So I've always intended for TLA to be a beginner's game. Now, I want there to be content for people to stick around. I want there to be enough depth for an experienced player to try it out, and maybe they can have fun using it to teach other people to play fighting games. And I'm really pleased with all the people who have stuck around this long and still enjoy the game. And we've tried to provide more content and balance changes and everything else for them. But it's still important to me that it remains simple. There's a million things in the design pointing to that, between the inputs and being mobile and web browser friendly. And oh my gosh, what is happening to me now? Okay, it seems a little upset. So, is it good? No, it's not. It's not good. It's not good. Just a moment. Yeah, very spooky technical issues. We'll see how long it lasts. Where was I this time? Good luck editing this, Amy. I'm so sorry. State of the game, more like, what is the state of your cam? Yeah, you'll have to keep in a little bit of that. So we want the game to be simple. It should be simple. And I try to do what is called lenticular design. I learned this term from Mark Rosewater, the head designer of Magic the Gathering, which is trying to design things where the complexity is sort of obscured from the beginning player so it doesn't really scare them off. You can make a complex, in his case, you can make a complex trading card by adding 20 lines of text and all these different states and conditions. But a new player will read that and just, totally bounce off of it. Whereas if you create something that's maybe flavorful or seems really straightforward, but has maybe a hidden cost or a hidden twist, then that succeeds at both giving the player a gentle on-ramp, but also giving the advanced player, the spikier player, something to chew on and something to enjoy. So I've wholeheartedly taken that approach for Tough Love Arena. And Meter is what I believe to be my most successful example of this. Where some games have Burst as its own dedicated resource, and I think there's a lot of reasons that make sense, we very intentionally put it on the same meter as the offensive mechanics, because we want players to make a choice, and we want to encourage beginners, especially through the tutorials, that, hey, just use it for the defensive choice. Just use it defensively. It's super easy. As you're getting comboed, which a lot of beginner players complain about, especially coming from like a platform context where they have DI and other things they can do while they're being comboed. In a 2D fighting game, when you're comboed, you're comboed. And so, hey, just save up the meter, spend it on Burst. And you're not playing the game wrong. You're not missing out on a huge amount. You're not missing out on a lot because Burst is a perfectly viable strategy, a perfectly reasonable use of that meter. But Luma, you tried to send something that Twitch is auto-flagging. I'm going to deny it. Don't say stuff like that, even as a joke. Anyways. So, I think Meter does this well. The more advanced player will get into training mode and figure out all the optimal rapid combos and figure out how to bait bursts and punish them. And the beginning players just don't have to worry about that stuff, right? Very straightforward. Beginning players can just do HH as their combo. And it's not a bad combo. It's a little committal, and they'll start getting punished if they're not confirming it, which they almost certainly aren't. And so then they'll learn, oh, how can I confirm it? Or what are maybe some safer options? So this is what I would call, what I consider lenticular design. And Blue Life failed. Regardless of the goal that Blue Life had, which I'll talk about in a second. This is going to be a 20-minute slide. At a core level, Blue Life failed at being a either very simple and intuitive mechanic and or being sort of hidden. It can either be super simple and universal like chip damage. I'll explain chip damage because, hey, every fighting game that I know of, every 2D fighter has chip damage. So our game has chip damage. That's fine. This is part of being an on-ramp to the genre. And the same that we have blocking and throw and stuff like that. And anti-airs, right? These are touchstones of the genre. But Blue Life, it doesn't show up in that many games. And so we have to explain it. And you have to explain it because if you're a beginner and you're playing, you'll see this blue stuff on your life bar and you'll be like, well, that's not obvious to me what that does. Is that important? Does it come back automatically? Do I have to do things to make it come back? Okay, I got hit, I lost it. Maybe they realize that if they have the presence of mind to even look at their life bar when they're, mashing out. What moves caused this? And more importantly, an edge case that came up for a lot of our players does it count as life for the purpose of like a timeout? It's just so many questions that need to be answered. So it's already a very, I think, complicated mechanic in terms of the amount of education a player requires. On its hand, it seems kind of simple. Oh, you do a little damage on block. But that's chip. That's the sentence. You do damage on block. Normally you do big damage on hit, but if you block this, you still take a little damage. Blue Life has all these extra layers. But okay, well, was it worth it? A mechanic can be complicated if we get a lot of value out of it. But I don't think it was. So the original reason I added Blue Life was not just to add another mechanic. It was to try and solve the issue I perceived of players playing defensively. So we have a problem. TLA is a game that is very easy to be defensive in. By design. By intention. Other games have high-low mix-ups. Other games have cross-ups. Both of these things make blocking worse because you might block incorrectly. Other games can have unblockable, or they'll have a guard break, which we removed 6 months ago for other reasons. Or they might have the risk gauge. A lot of games have a lot of ways to sort of break through a turtle opponent. But I didn't want to do that with TLA because I wanted neutral block. Because I believe that that's a beginning player's biggest frustration. It's just getting mauled. They fight an advanced player. The advanced player does like a fake 50-50 cross-up on them and vortexes them 3 times and they're dead. And if you're a beginner and you're fighting the best TLA player in the world, you will die, but you can choose to die slowly. You can choose to just take your hands off the stick when you're panicking and just watch them throw you 5 times, and you'll be dead. This was always part of the plan. I think it's a strength of the genre compared to other on-ramp games, other teaching games, that I made a very conscious effort to make defense strong for the beginner's sake. So I tell you in the tutorial, if you're getting stressed out, as a lot of people do when they first pick up a fighting game, don't mash. Just take your hands off the keyboard. Take your hands off the stick. Just relax and watch. They can't hurt you that bad. So, that's number one. I have that assumption. I want that to be part of the game. However, how it manifests in high-level play is that people would just stand there. Because they're like, I have the life lead. I'm not going to do anything. I'll just stand here, and maybe at the last minute I'll walk back and try to whiff punish you. But really bulldogging in a way that in our game, it's not even like a Street Fighter where, there's a little bit of walking back and forth, or the decision of, do I want to crouch block and stop walking but be safe from the far-reaching lows? In this game, you just stand still. And chip damage existed, but it wasn't super plentiful, and there were some complaints about it, honestly. So I was like, let's add blue life. A mechanic that is somewhat well known. It's used in Street Fighter V. I was actually inspired watching a YouTube video by Ultra David, where Ultra David was talking about his favorite zoning characters to play in fighting games. And he specifically highlighted Dhalsim from Street Fighter V and Axel from Guilty Gear, I guess any game but probably Strive, because they were both zoners who were rewarded for throwing out full screen buttons. Dhalsim, in the case of if you throw out full screen Fierce and they block it, they took gray life. Axel, if you throw out, crouching slash, I think? No, crouching heavy slash, 2 HS, you'll get that far range normal, and if they block it, now they have risk. And it makes you feel like a much more active zoner. You're not just sitting there and be like, do I even bother to throw far range buttons in case they try to whiff punish, or am I just like trying to react to everything? But with Dhalsim and Axel, because of these system mechanics, these game mechanics, you want to throw the far range buttons. And I thought that was a very good point. And I was looking at this problem I was having of it seems like people are just really bulldogging a lot. And I thought maybe gray life could be the solution. And then we renamed it blue life because I thought it looked better. Maybe Amy thought it looked better. We talked about it. I don't want to take credit for that. So that's where it came from. We wanted to fix this problem. Yeah, as Kung Fu points out, Dhalsim is also scary for other reasons. He's got teleport and mix and all that stuff. And even Axel full screen has a command grab. But oh yeah, or 46S, the Rensen. Anyways, getting back on the topic. This was my goal with Blue Life, to sort of try and encourage breaking stalemates, because I felt comfortable putting Blue Life on a lot more moves than Chip existed on. I was comfortable putting it on the heavies. So you didn't have to worry about being chipped out by a random heavy punch or a random whip. But it gave you a way to sort of punish an opponent of, oh, you're blocking? I'll just heavy punch you 4 times, and then I'll throw you, and it'll do like 60%. Okay, cool. Still, again, not too punishing for the beginning player. They can block the whole time, and they can try to just focus on avoiding the throw until they're in the corner and it's hard. There's still a chance for 50-50, but you have time. You can think about the situation. But it didn't do that. It didn't accomplish my goal. We released it. We waited a couple of weeks for people to get used to it and play tournament matches, and I realized it wasn't really meaningfully changing people's decisions. People didn't seem to be really playing the game differently based on Blue Life. It did make a couple scenarios more rewarding, and good players were cognizant of it and would try to extra hard to go for that frame trap or throw. But it didn't change the plan, which is that I'm still going to do 4 heavies at mid range, or I don't want to risk it and I'm just going to turtle up. So it didn't. It was really complex. And B, it didn't solve the problem. People have suggested, oh, well, maybe if you made it more impactful, it would be more obvious in gameplay. Just crank up the knobs, do a little more blue damage, have it recover a little bit slower, and it will definitely impact the game more. But my fear of that is then it would be a huge barrier to newcomers, because now here's the thing that is really important to the gameplay, so you have to learn it. Because look at how much damage it's essentially doing. And I figured, just like Guard Break before it, 7 months ago, this isn't doing what it was designed to do. It's adding unneeded complexity to my game, so we just cut it. But by cutting it, we reverted back to the same problem I perceived as having in... Gosh, when did I add Blue Life? Like July or something? Which is that, okay, well now people are going to camp again. People are going to be really defensive and just sort of sit there. So I added 2 things. One, I added a lot more chip damage. I added chip to basically all the special moves, including also the command heavies that the carbs have. The 4 H's, right? And I'm really excited about that because, again, it's still damage on block, but it's a lot slower. And so I still think it's good advice to the beginner to, you can block for a minute. It's okay to block for a minute. But because I was adding so much chip everywhere, and again, not on the lights and heavies, not on like the most important and mostly spammed buttons, or most frequently used buttons, I should say. But I was worried that, with all this more chip, if all these specials chip, it's going to be really easy to get chip kills. Whereas that was before, especially during the blue life phase when we removed chip from a lot of moves and turned it into blue life, chip kills were really just the domain of like beef and noodle. And it was, I think, manageable in that context. One of Noodle's few strengths now. But it wouldn't make sense. It would become a problem if everyone had these chip moves. Of just like, I'll just do hop kick, rapid hop kick, rapid hop kick. And so we removed chip kills. As a response to adding more chip, as a response to trying to break up the monotony of gameplay. So it's not something I'm super passionate or dogmatic about, whether there should be chip kills or not. I know games that are fun that I play that have them and games that don't. But given the context of adding more chip, which I think is a good idea, I think that as a result, removing chip KOs is also a good idea. But I want to be upfront that, we could see how this pans out. And lastly, the second thing I changed to try and promote aggressive play is the walking forward giving meter. A very small adjustment inspired by some games, you can guess them, that just now encourages you to press forward. Now what this actually means is that people are probably going to do, the shuffle or the wiggle or the squirm or whatever our community decides to call it, of, I don't really want to walk forward or walk out of this range, so I'll just walk forward for a second to gain some meter and then walk back to get my position correct, and then just boop, 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 boop. And so they can, I'm happy watching a tournament stream where the players are squirming, because when they're standing still, nothing has happened and both players are safe. But when you're squirming, you could get tagged. What if when you choose to squirm forward, the opponent also just walks forward and heavies you in the face? Because you're not blocking while you're walking forward. So I'm really excited about this, such that it's not, I'm hoping it's not enough meter to really like massively change how combos are done, like micro dashing becomes really important, or massively change matchups because, I did this move and now I get to walk forward and get 2 bars. If it's at that point, we can adjust the knob. But just have a little bit of incentive to squirm instead of standing still, which then opens you up for a little bit of risk. That's what I'm really excited about. And you'll have the safer player standing there, and maybe the more bold player squirming, and now the bold player gets, enough meter for a rapid, and they close out the game with a meter combo. So, that is the 20-minute slide. That is why Blue Life was removed. It's not just because I hated it or because I was too lazy to tune the knobs. I think it was a fundamentally flawed idea. I'm glad I tried it, and I really appreciate everyone who, plays the beta and is down for these experiments and down for the ride. But like mechanics before it and potentially mechanics ahead of it, I think it needed to be cut. Moving on. Oh, it played the... No, stop playing the video. Just go next. There we go. We did the monthly player survey. So for context, this was the survey result for Noodle last month. I named them for the month coming up so that like if someone sees it on October 3rd, they don't get confused about which month it is. But last month, a month ago, 30 days ago, this is what people had to say about Noodle, which is that Noodle was not very fun to play. Noodle was the only character in the game that had a sub 3 average score. And so I'm very pleased to say that with this month's survey, it now looks like this. The axes are kind of messed up because there's actually more votes in the 4 column than on any of these other columns, so it's a little shorter, but it's actually more votes by one less vote and much more positive. So we'll talk about that more when we get to the Noodle slide, but I consider this a resounding success. A lot of the other characters, the Noodle didn't move too much, but you can compare it for yourself probably tomorrow or Wednesday when I release the PDF. So look forward to that. And just as a little check-in, snapshot for the stream for history, this is how people currently feel about the game. This is to me the most important slide, and I'm very happy to see these numbers. Again, I feel bad for the 2 people who voted a 2. I definitely know that a survey like this will inherently be self-selecting. You know, only people who like the game enough to fill out a survey will usually fill out the survey. So I know it's going to be leaning more positive, but I'm proud of that those are 4s instead of 3s. You know what I mean? So, again, we released the survey results. I try to redact the sort of personalized comments people leave, and they turned out really weird this time because, like, in what should have been a section of a list of comments, I'll show this real quick. So when I ask for, like, oh, tell me your thoughts about, you know, Rice. Should we buff or nerf anything? The way it's supposed to look is like this. It's supposed to look like this. You know, all these little blocks of written out comments. But it ended up looking like this because just coincidentally, 2 people wrote in the exact same text, which is no changes needed. And then it thought, well, now there's duplicate values. I should display this as a quantity, a bar graph. And this happened on literally every question. Like, 2 people out there wrote no changes, or 2 people wrote nothing on every character. At least 2 people did it. And now it's, like, really hard to read the feedback. So I'll try to figure out, you know, a solution to that next month or something. So it's totally unreadable as it is. I'll probably try to remove it from the PDF. Rip. Yeah. Can we have some Fs in chat? Oh, and then while I take this sip of water, I want to show this slide. I decided to start highlighting a few of the comments that we got. We got a combination of, you know, messages saying, you know, this is broken. You got to fix it. You're being lazy. I hate you. And some nice stuff. And so I tried to sprinkle in a little bit of nice stuff and a little bit more of, you know, left-handed compliment stuff. But these are some of the things that people are saying, and I really appreciate it. Lots of really nice words. So thank you very much. I'll keep doing the survey, if anything, just to see this stuff. This is really cool. Okay. So, 40 minutes in, we have finally made it to the present. Let's go. So, little health check. How are things going right now? So, we've had some progress on offline events. I have something to announce later in the stream for Boston. So, if you're a Boston native, please stick around or check out the VOD afterwards. And I am in the process of reaching out to people in NYC. So, also my cam is dead. How long has my cam been dead? Oh no. Okay, it looks like when I was putting my drink down. Okay. Starting over. We're just starting the whole stream over. Shut it down. Okay. We're back. So now, we finally made it to the present. We're making progress on organizing some offline events. I have something really exciting to announce about Boston in just a little bit, so please stick around or check the VOD later if you're in the Boston area. And nothing to announce right now, but I've started reaching out to some venues here where I live in NYC. And we'll hopefully have some news about that too. We have 2 big online events coming up, one in October and November. You might have seen it in last State of the Game, but we'll go over the details again in these slides just for anyone just now coming into it. Active players are up since last month. We've continued to increase. So this is September. Previous month was August. So our low point was officially July, but August was more than July, and September was more than August. So check Patreon for full details and breakdown. But we're super happy to see that. Yay, more players, or returning players, or whatever it is. That's super cool. Survey feedback was plentiful. We only had it out for about 5 days, and I did a terrible job of advertising it. I forgot to post in the Discord, but we still got like 76 respondents, so that's super wonderful, and I'm really grateful. We'll be doing this every month going forward, and I plan to send it out basically a week before the state of the game, so that we can then present the results a week later. So look for that at the end of this month. Character balance seems to be in a good place. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the characters. I know that there's some characters that are definitely consensus slightly stronger, and some that are consensus slightly weaker. But I think we've done a good job of eliminating some of the hell matchups and making every character viable. And lastly, I'm aware, and I get a lot of reports, and I just want to publicly acknowledge that there are some big outstanding bugs related to ranked lobbies of mobile. Ranked, when the PDP connection has an issue and disconnects or desyncs, it breaks some of the assumptions I had when I was writing the lobby logic. I just didn't, or it breaks and it drops the PDP connection but still maintains its connection to the API, which was something I didn't foresee happening. And it creates that scenario where you win and then it tells you lost, because actually your opponent disconnected and then won before you, told the server they won, and so when you talk to the server, it's like, well, here's your L. So I know vaguely what the problems are. I'm pretty sure that that's it, and it's on the roadmap. Lobbies, likewise, the current infrastructure was a pretty hastily thrown together prototype back in like March or April or something, just to get it out so that running online events was feasible, and it's really showing its age and its issues with the, basically, the infrastructure we built it on that was never really meant to handle this use case, but was quick for prototyping. So I've already put about a week into rewriting the lobbies, and I hope to have something. I hope to be on the new system by the Halloween tournament, which is October 15th. No promises. We definitely want to test it thoroughly before we do the event. So I'll be I don't want to risk downtime during the event, but it's something. It's my main passion right now, is trying to fix and rewrite lobbies. Someone has redeemed to hydrate Paul. I suppose I must hydrate. And lastly, there have been a lot of problems with mobile for a long time. I tried my best a year ago, but there's still issues with scrolling, especially if you don't install a home screen. There's issues with the touch targets. On some phones, they're just too close to the edge, and the touching is just not accurate enough on the edge, so people struggle to hit the special button. So, and also, I've been told that the recent iOS update or Safari update also is making the inputs a little janky. So I'll talk about this more in the future work, but I want to acknowledge, for all this good news about players and events and stuff, there are some bugs, and I want those people to be heard, and I want people to know that, ranked is still a work in progress. And Handsome Phil has just given out 5 Tier 1 community gift subs. Thank you so much for that, Handsome Phil. Oh man, set up hair on Mark, the Dueling Potato, Young Strike, the Purple Sharpie, and 7. Awesome. Let's move on to the next slide. So, gameplay design. So, we talked about this a little bit on the Blue Life slide, but something that I've been trying to do and that I'll be looking very closely for as we have TLG and the Halloween tournament the following week, is that we want blocking to be strong, but still ultimately reward the attacker, or incentivize attacking into a blocking opponent. So, for people who weren't aware, there already is the disparity that if I throw a heavy punch and you block it, I gain 100 meter and the blocker gains 50. So that does add up over time. We removed blue life. Chip has been increased, but you can no longer kill, and now walking forward gains meter. So all the stuff I talked about before. And I guess I didn't realize I had written out all these thoughts here. So this is sort of repeating what I said on the other slide. But feel free to pause and check this out. And also, the Grum just gave out 6 Tier 1 community subs. Thank you so much, Grum. It's very kind of you. Crap, can I take back the one that went to Waddle? Oh, poor Waddle. So, that is where I'm currently, that's where my thoughts have been for the last month about the gameplay design, and we'll see what comes up in the next month, and what other crazy ideas I get. Again, I'm not opposed to adding more universal mechanics. I still think rejection was a net positive, so we kept that, even though we removed blue life. And I'm excited for any opportunity to add things that follow that, you know, lenticular design pattern. But really watching Blue Life in the wild and watch people talk about it and also just completely ignore it made me realize what a failure it was on that axis. And it helped me, you know, we learn from our mistakes. Every cloud has a silver lining. I'm grateful to Blue Life for teaching me some lessons. Let's talk about some characters. Noodle, I think, is in a pretty good place right now. I know they've changed a lot recently, so time may tell if they're just too weak or still too strong or whatever. But I'm really excited about the redesign we did about 3 weeks ago, and transforming Noodle from sort of the ultimate zoner into more of this interesting, you know, can fight at range or can create scenarios up close, and almost has some trapping tools. However, in order to add that extra little dimension of depth, I had to add essentially a hidden input, which is the fist far input, which is something that is new to the game. That sort of press and then hold in the opposite direction really quickly. All the moves that currently exist like that are sort of like lemon or hop kick, where you sort of press it neutral and then press a button. So quickly switching from left to right might be hard for mobile users, might be hard for certain controllers. So I'm keeping an eye on it. I don't really have any other great alternatives at the moment, but please keep me informed on whether it feels difficult or whether, you know, you got used to it after a week. Let me know if it ever feels imprecise or inaccurate, and we'll figure out what to do. Also, I have to point out, Demerge FGC cheered 2 bits a minute ago. Thank you so much for that. So yeah, excited about where Noodle will go in the future. Very excited. Rice, I really like Rice's overall design as this really oppressive character at this, you know, kind of specific range, and also having just really crap defense once you get in. I think that is really over time has developed into one of Rice's interesting weaknesses, because at the mid-range against basically anyone but Noodle or themselves, you know, everyone knows how difficult it is to fight Rice. But once you get in close, Rice doesn't have great tools. Rice doesn't have a frenzy. They have a teleport, but there is counterplay to teleport. Demerge, thank you for the 1-bit cheer. Appreciate it. The one change we made to Rice is that, you know, Rice has been basically the same for a couple of months now, but really struggled in the Noodle matchup, because here you had a character that really bullied the meats and the spices by outranging them. But when up against a character Noodle, and Noodle outranged Rice, well, Rice basically didn't have their strengths anymore. And that was diminished somewhat when I changed Grounder. But I think it's still a problem in the matchup. And so I added a hitbox to teleport. For the longest time, I was just trying to think, like, how can I buff Rice in a way that will help the Noodle matchup, but not, you know, make rice OP in all the matchups, because I already think rice is strong enough against beef, against pork, against onion, against garlic. And I tried that with the far jump, if people remember from like 2 months ago, when I added the fact that the carbs now jump like full screen. That was an attempt at like, well, here's an option you can do against noodle. But it's such a hard read move to make, and it's really inconsistent, and it's really trivial for noodle to anti-air. And just, didn't accomplish the goal. So to agree with Phil in chat, I think it's okay for rice to, have a losing matchup against noodle, but I'm seeing this pattern among tournament players where they just have to have a counterpick character. And I'd love for the game to not have matchups that bad. There will always be advantages, there will always be little imbalances, but I don't want it to get to a point where people feel like they need a pocket character, because, X matchup is just unplayable. Pork mains be quiet. So, my current best idea that I just added like a week ago is to add a hitbox to teleport. This should not change gameplay against the meats or spices 99.9% of the time, because you're using teleport because they got close, and you still land the same distance away. It still takes the same amount of time, and you're still super punishable. However, if you get the read that a noodle is doing a meaty far fist, you can teleport. And if your read is wrong, it will still more than likely, the noodle will just block the teleport, and then you're just at sort of a negative situation. It's not like jumping, which A, didn't work against meaties, and B, would get anti-aired for 160 or more. So it's a very small change, it's a very minor change. I'm very excited to see if it does what I hope. Time will tell. Beef got their chip back to palm. I added some chip to beefcake just because all these moves have chip now. So now there's a small penalty for safe jumping beefcake, but because chip no longer kills, safe jumping is still probably worth it. And Beef's art has been making a lot of great progress. We have a lot of stuff we have to get done very soon for some tight deadlines, like the Halloween tournament, and me working on lobbies, and Amy having just a lot of work obligations in the very short-term future. So we'll probably release Beef very soon, but maybe not with all the colors. It's either the choice of waiting a while for Amy to get off work and be able to add, do the full 6 colors planned for Beef, or releasing the newer, prettier Beef with only 3 or 4 colors, and that's what I'm leaning towards. But it's a work in progress. I don't mean to put Amy on the spot. This is all subject to change. My point is, the new Beef art should be out before Halloween, so you can look forward to it. And by Halloween, I mean the Halloween tournament, which is October 15th. Otherwise, I think Beef is in a good place. I know Beef is strong. I hope that with chip no longer killing on block, that will help some of the oppression of lemon, because now you can block lemons potentially indefinitely. So, and as I think I said last month, I know Beef is perceived to be on the stronger end, and I'm okay with that, as long as it's not too strong. I'm glad for the all-rounder to not be garbage. Pork got their chip back on palm. I decided to add it to chop in the spirit of being on all special moves. So again, chop can be pretty risky to do at max range. It can be pretty easy to whiff punish, but if you want to try and space with chop, or just go for like a meaty chop for some guaranteed chip, that is now an option for Pork. No nerfs, no plan changes. I'm happy with Caber Toss's current implementation, so Pork's in a great place as far as I'm concerned. There's been talk in the Discord about Chop RC. I have no comment at this time. Onion. No changes except getting chip back on Roundhouse, and I also added it to Hopkick. Someone with a better memory than me pointed out that it used to be on Hopkick, and I removed it at some point. But I think I might have removed the chip from Hopkick at the same time that Roundhouse could cancel into Hopkick. Or was it Hopkick cancel into Roundhouse? It was a nutty time. So I think it's safe to have without chip KOs. Because, Onion did a little bit of damage, but now, they lost their turn. So, looking forward to that. No big changes planned for Onion. I'm very happy with the current version of Feint and Cackle. I know Onion struggles to get in, but they're still in my mind functioning as the sort of glass cannon character. They still have the highest damage. I think Onion's in a good place. And lastly, Garlic. I added Chip to Roundhouse, like Onion, and added it back to Sneak, which it used to have. Again, it's not as scary as before, because just like for the last 2 months in the Blue Life world, you can't kill with random Sneak. Or, you can't chip kill with random Sneak. So if the opponent's scared of the Sneak, they can just, stand still. Or walk forward, in which case they'll block the Sneak. I also buffed the damage on Sneak very slightly, just because I was looking back at the frame data, and I was like, Sneak only does 40 damage? That's so low. That's so low. So I just bumped it up a little. I tried bumping it up a lot, and one of the playtesters, one of my Patreons, Young Dab, pointed out very correctly that if I buffed up the damage too much... sorry, for those who don't know, if you're on the Patreon, you get access to some of the builds, especially balance changes, a little bit before everyone else. Sort of my first line of defense for testing. And Young Dab pointed out that if Sneak did too much damage, it changed all of the optimal combos from Garlic into basically just this one Sneak combo, which sort of diluted some of the interesting aspects of the character. And Sneak combo can be a little janky on certain input devices. So a little buff, but mostly just a token gesture. And we're finally to the future, 1 hour in. Let's take a sip. We might actually end at a reasonable time. I just spent all that time on that one slide is all. Oh, I forgot about Q&A. Okay, let's go fast. So, this month, this is what will be on next day of the game's last month. This is my agenda. New character SFX. I still have new sound effects for all the characters that need to be plugged in. The new beef art that I mentioned before should be out within the next 2 weeks. Dedicated servers for lobbies, which I hope to have out in the next 2 weeks, but no promises. It should give us more uptime and reliability, and specifically more insight for me on the uptime and more control over it. So if it breaks, at least I can fix it. Whereas our current system that's built on a third-party provider, I just don't have control over. They have pretty good uptime, but there's a couple months ago where it was just down for like a whole Friday night. This should also, the main reason I'm doing this is to improve the experience for spectators. Again, the third-party solution we're using right now doesn't really guarantee super low latency transfers. And if spectators start at a certain offset and they're not getting updates consistently in that speed, then they get massive rollbacks. They get basically DC'd. So that should be more real time. Again, we'll test it. I'm hoping that the infrastructure that I'm planning to set up will be sufficient. And if not, we can always, try more servers or figure out other solutions. And another big bonus is that with my new system that I'm writing from scratch, where the server itself has a lot of the lobby logic inside it, it is now smart enough to reassign a host. So if the host disconnects, it will just pick whoever's first in the queue to be the new host. Or I can also now add the ability for the host to change dynamically. Whereas before, I needed to add a webhook to when this host disconnects, clean up the lobby. Otherwise, it was way too easy for there to be essentially memory leaks or, lobby leaks of lobbies not getting cleaned up properly. Too many edge cases and race conditions to potentially worry about. So this should now work. And it has all sorts of logic to detect, when the lobby's empty, I'll close it myself. It's just smarter. It could do so much more. I'm really excited to work on mobile tech debt. All of these projects, lobbies, mobile, ranked, are things that I would describe as having a heavy context switch. It's hard for me to do ranked improvements because it's such a big, complicated, standalone system that I haven't touched in 6 months. So I spend a decent amount of time getting back up to speed, realizing things that I can do better to improve, and maybe it's kind of difficult to test. So I really like to do all this work at once. I get back into the mobile context, I charge my Android phone, I get them both set up on the local network, and then I can just churn out mobile stuff in my nice, complete test environment. So, as soon as I finish the lobbies, my next big project to plan while I'm juggling bugs and feature requests and whatever is mobile improvements. Not necessarily a mobile app, that might come later, but just trying to improve the current experience. And any improvements will carry over to the mobile app when we get to that point. And lastly, in the background, I'll still be continuing mod support. Things will come up, and I've already got a mod request queued up in the mod request channel that I'm planning to implement tomorrow on stream. So just putting that there to make sure the modders don't feel left out. That stuff will definitely be done on the side. We have, again, the Halloween tournament. Not again. So, reminder, we have the Halloween tournament October 17th at 7 p.m. EST, which is in less than 2 weeks. So, here's the details. It's on the events page, so you can go there for the information, the challenge link, and if you want to like add it to your calendar or something so you don't forget. Again, the rules are that the skins will unlock for everyone on Friday morning, so you can test them out, enjoy it. At night, there will be a tournament, and if you just enter the tournament and you play your matches, you have to play your matches, you have to check in and you have to report. I don't care if you lose, it goes 0-2, but if you play your matches, then you can get one Halloween skin added to your account. I have this requirement of you have to play your matches because I don't want TOs to deal with a million DQs of people who just put in their name to try and get an outfit. You got to show up. But it's a free tournament. There's currently no entry cap, so I encourage you to try to make some time. Even if you have to drop out a few matches in because you have another conflict, like that's fine. But as long as you show up and you're checking in and you're communicating with the TOs, that's the important part. And the way I've gotten a lot of questions about how this will work. I don't want people to worry about which character am I playing in the tournament? I don't want their skin. I'm planning to send out a Google form shortly after the tournament, probably that weekend. It might take a day or two, but basically to collect everyone's information, which is what was your challenge name, so I can cross-reference it with the event. What's your account email, and which skin do you want? And if you make top 8, you get all the skins. So there's still a prize. There's an incentive for the top players. There's a reason to be competitive. But I feel like, so much of our community content is tournaments, and I know that definitely sort of leaves out our pretty large casual cohort, people who, like the game but aren't very good at it. And it's not fun to just enter the tournament every week and go 0-2. I know, as someone who enters the tournament and goes 0-2. So, you get one skin. Just for showing up. Good for you. And of course, the winner will be immortalized in the Hall of Fame. Under the official events, which there aren't that many of. And for people who don't know, these are what the skins will look like. Beef should have their full outfit, so this will be the skin with the gloves and shoes. The other 3 characters aren't fully animated, so this is a much simpler skin. But once they are fully animated, Pork later this year, the Spices maybe next year, they will look like this. With the fade and the scarf and the bunny ears and all that stuff. So, and if you get the Porkenstein skin, and then the official Pork art comes out, of course you'll upgrade to the official Porkenstein. So, yeah, check it out. Events.toughlovearena.com. 1 week after that, I'm very proud to announce that Tough Love Arena will be at Balance Patch. For those who don't know, Balance Patch is a gaming cafe and esports event space in Boston. I am very lucky to happen to know the owner of Balance Patch. We're just longtime friends, a very lucky connection. And we were actually playing some Guilty Gear this summer, and I reached out. I think actually maybe he offered, just like, hey, you want to run at Balance Patch? I'm like, yeah, that's a train right away. So we're doing it. And big thank you to Traveling Controller as well. That's the outfit run by Lucky D, the pro player that actually I think runs the event and stuff. So it is planned for Friday, October 22nd at 8 p.m. EST. If you want to put that on your calendar, it's 1 week, exactly 1 week after the online Halloween tournament. It'll be our first offline tournament, and I will be traveling there. I'll try to be around most of the day and just hanging out, maybe working on the game if I get bored, maybe playing casuals in TLA or other games. So if you want to meet me for some reason and get a photo, I'll be there, probably wearing a mask. And this tournament will have the same skin rewards as the online Halloween tournament, as an effort to try and incentivize local people to sign up, or people who are just walking into the venue to be like, hey, play in our tournament, you'll get a free skin. So if you are local, you can double dip, and get one skin for the online tournament and one skin for the offline tournament. But please, dear God, don't buy a plane ticket just to get like another skin. All right, promise me that. We will have more offline events soon, and skins seem relatively cheap to make in terms of time and effort. So we are definitely keeping in mind adding more event skins and adding more. I don't know. There's lots of space there. So I don't have a link there because I don't have like the events tab link because I don't have all the details. I think doors open at 6 and the event starts at 8. Still ironing out, but there should be an official announcement from us and BP within this week. And so look for that. They'll advertise it in their venue. We'll be plugging it on Twitter and Discord. So if you're in our usual news channels, you'll definitely see it sometime this week. So cool. Very excited. And lastly, of course, can't forget about Quarantine Report. It's still happening November 12th at the same time, 7 p.m. that we run most of our tournaments. Again, it's a charity event for COVID relief. We did Quarantine Report 3 back in February, and I really appreciated the organizers. They reached out to us and offered to include us, and our heads were still spinning from the launch, and we had no idea what to do, and we got through it. And so we're very happy to return, hopefully with a slightly cleaner production. There will be a pot bonus that I'm throwing in of $100, but no Matcherino, because they want additional money. If you feel like donating, you should donate to charity. And I think if you donate, there's like a raffle to win some free indie games. So definitely check out Quarantine Reports like Twitter. They have more information. And of course, the winner will be added to the Hall of Fame as an official event. Oh, and so will the offline event. I forgot that bullet point. But we'll be adding offline events to the Hall of Fame. If you are running an offline event and I'm not there, that's fine. If you're running an offline event at your local in St. Louis, please send me the challenge bracket and we'll add it to the site. And now we're at the Q&A. Thank you, Deep Fried Water, for the follow a minute ago. Really appreciate it. So I'm not reading any. I'm half paying attention to chat. I saw some jokes. But if you asked a question already, I'm not going to scroll up. So please re-ask your question starting now. And I will start. I'm going to scroll to stop chat moving, and I will start reading through them top to bottom. Okay. And then we'll go into full screen view for Q&A until we need to, unless we need to show something off. So, first question is from the Grum. If you could eat only one breakfast cereal for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? Easy question, easy answer, Waffle Crisp. It is delicious. It's very sugary, but it's so good. And I have tried to buy it many times online in the last couple of years, and it's been like discontinued. I read a report. I literally was looking into this months ago about like maybe they're bringing it back to like certain supermarkets in like Canada or something. I don't know. But Waffle Crisp 100%. Honorable mention, second place goes to O-O's. The sort of honey grain cereal. Really, really like that. Those are the only two cereals that I've liked enough that when they weren't at my local grocery store, I ordered them online. Kenny Rose asks, do you think walking meter gain should stop during combos? It feels really weird to have a micro walk to optimize meter gain in combos. Combos that corner carry already have the benefit of carrying to the corner. The meter gain buff doesn't seem to make too much sense here. Seems overly complex to be optimal for me. That is an interesting idea, Kenny. We did already put in the effort, thanks to some feedback from the Patreon early testers, specifically Abic, Um, we did make sure to half the meter gain if you were walking forward in a rapid context. But my current opinion of meter gain while walking is that is the fringe complexity that I'm happy for our game to have. Sort of like counter hit confirms, where if you're truly trying to, win the tournament, if you're trying to be the best you can be, here is this, thing you can practice to like recognize the counter hit text and then, switch brain into like time to dump meter, and extend this combo as long as I can. And so similarly, if the really good players want to, they will find ways to micro walk to just add that little bit of edge. But I think it would also be perfectly viable to win a tournament without any micro walking, because the difference should be small. If the difference isn't small, we can talk about that, and I'll try to adjust it. Maybe scaling it down during a combo, like during rapid. But that's the sort of lenticular complexity I'm happy with, because a beginner won't even think of that. And an advanced player can still make the choice of, do I go for the easier, more consistent combo right now, or do I go for the super optimal, 5-frame micro walk combo? And the player can make that choice without it, like, in a way that to me feels interesting and good compared to, like, do you go for the easy combo that does 200 damage, or do you go from the 1-frame link combo that does 300 damage, but if you mess it up, you only got 100 damage? Right? I don't want to create those scenarios. That's why counter hit doesn't do additional hit stun. I don't want confirming it to be like so important that it creates entirely new combo routes, but I want to reward people for paying attention. And also I like that if we removed meter gain while a combo was active, that would remove the choice of like, hey, I popped someone up with a meat uppercut. What if I just walk forward and get some meter? And then just kind of okie them as they land instead of doing spike. So you can choose to maybe trade damage for meter. Now that's another choice you can have, and I think that's cool. Paul, what's your favorite move in the game? I think the move that I'm most proud of, or I should say I'm really most proud of Amy's work on it, is Frenzy. I think Frenzy is a very iconic and intuitive and cool move. Very memorable visual. But I'd say almost like my pet move is Trip. When I play as Spices, I notice I do way more Trip than some of the other players I watch. So... Shiv Zane asks, Yo, Paul, I just want to let you know I host gaming club at my high school, and I got freshmen to play the game. That's awesome, Shiv Zane. Thank you for telling me that. Did they like it? It's okay if they didn't, but thank you for spreading the good word. That's really cool. Yeah, I'd love to hear if you're just playing online or if the desktop solution is easier for you. I heard from some people they were able to use the desktop solution where the website was sort of banned, because the URL was banned, but they could still like download and install the desktop version, which I think technically installs to like local user app data. But yeah, if you want to run at your game club, definitely hit me up. I'm super supportive of stuff like that, and let me know if you run into any issues, and I'll see if I can prioritize a fix for it. First time chat from I'm Deep Fried Water. The game is sick. Thank you, Deep Fried Water. I hope so. Paul, wish my brother a happy 20th birthday. Brother of Ellington Reborn, happy 20th birthday. Hope it's a good one. It'd be really cool if I could somehow get in touch. Yeah, Shiv Zane. You can DM our Twitter, Tough Love Arena, or you can join the official Discord, which is linked on the Twitter, and within the game. And you can find me. My name is like Dev Unrequited Love Arena or something, and you can just DM me directly. So can we please get a Seven asks, can we please get a blooper reel for the state of the game in the YouTube edit? I'll leave that up to Amy and whether it seems actually funny enough. Demerge FGC says, why can't I buy a plane ticket for funny skin? Because unless you're like a millionaire, I would, if we met and I found out that you bought a plane ticket just for this event, I would be so upset that I would probably cancel all offline events forever. It's like, it's the same thing with Patreon, you know. I'm not here to grift. Please only donate if you have the means, if you have the money to spare. I appreciate the support, and it helps. I talk about this a lot in the Patreon as we, you know, break down our financials and our bills and everything. But you know, ultimately, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. I came into this with a plan to basically, you know, lose money for a year, so we're doing fine. So please, it's a simple game. I made it free so that you could enjoy it, you know, without having to invest too much of yourself. Ward Waddle asks, Paul, my question is about that NYC tourney. When and where me want to go? No news yet. Basically, I talked out to some TOs, and they were positive. They were interested, but I still need to talk to venue. And I also want to scope out the place a little bit more. I know Balance Patch is a really good venue. It's nice, and it's bright, and it's clean, and they have a lot of amenities. One of our issues is setups, which is, you know, if we want to have setups, we need computers. And Balance Patch, we're lucky because it's a gaming cafe, so they have computers to spare. But if I'm going to one of these more traditional, more grassroots venues that's, you know, playing out of a card shop, and it's just, you know, CRTs on folding tables, I'll need to bring my own consoles, and that's part of why I was working so much on the Raspberry Pis last month. So we'll see. Can't promise anything, but it's something I'm actively working on. Someone asked, what's your favorite move? I already answered that one. Shy Ninja says, why did you remove chip kills? I was killing people with chip. Also, what do you think of the idea of close fist being able to RC on hit? Chip kills were removed, as I discussed before, because I wanted to add more chip to encourage attacking someone who's committed to blocking. And with that amount of chip in the game, chip killing became really trivial. And I liked, honestly, for the last 3 months, there haven't, like, half the cast hasn't been able to chip kill, right? Because so many characters had their chip moves converted to blue life moves. Like, if you're a Spice, you couldn't chip kill for the last 2 months. And I don't think we really lost that much, right? So I think it's a space worth exploring. It seems like the right move right now. And Close Fist being able to RC on hit, I don't want to do that because I don't want to mess up the inputs or get accidental inputs. Because you currently have to hold back, and then within the first 12 frames press forward for Close Fist. If a really eager player is like, I know that this is going to meaty, or I'm confident this will hit, and so I'm like buffering rapid, so they're like going to forward and pressing special, they might accidentally get Far Fist. And I'm playing with a chopsticks wrapper. Let me throw this away. That's why Close Fist can't RC or cancel into jump, because it could accidentally be Far Fist. Hence why I think the input is still kind of janky, and I'm looking into it. Wilton Lost says, can you go over TLDR of the blue life removal side? I can't, Wilton. It took like 20 minutes. Please watch the VOD or the YouTube video. So sorry, I'm gonna have to table that one. I don't want to get sucked into that again. Seven says bye. Bye, Seven. Peace. Blue Icy Dasani says, if you were born 5 years ago, how old would you be? I'd be 5 years old. Or maybe 4. Depends on when 5 years ago. Right? Okay. Are the Halloween tourney and April Fool's events going to be repeated per year? That is the plan, especially the April Fool's event. We'll definitely do that again. That was super fun. We'll probably repeat. Our current plan is to also do a Halloween event next year and probably reuse the skins. So that's how people can double dip. Also, maybe long term you'd be able to just buy the skins or something. But that's our plan for now. Is that next year we'll run another Halloween tournament, and it's your second shot at getting those skins. They brought back cereal straws. Oh, you have to understand Kung Fu Kafwan. I'm a psychopath that eats cereal dry, so a cereal straw serves no use to me. Are there any Retro asks, are there any thoughts on changing reject to make it more useful for the spices? Not necessarily. I like the universal mechanics to be universal. And so in the same way that like noodle gets a lot less out of rapid, I mean garlic gets a lot less out of rapid than onion does, right? I'm okay with the spices not getting as much out of reject. I still think it could have a place against like pork. But no changes planned in that respect. Kenny Rose says, this is just an idea, but what do you think of having stuff like SF5 EX moves? The problem with Lemon RC is that it's a little ambiguous whether or not you'll be punished for avoiding the lemon. If you have to RC really early, they still get the benefits, but at least it's not unreactable. That is a good point about like reacting to the lemon RC, but let me put it this way. I am open to the idea of EX moves. I won't roll out EX moves, especially as we're adding more things that consume meter. However, one, we don't really have the art budget to add new animations, so it would have to function as like a powered up version of existing move, which is fine. That's like how they do it in Mortal Kombat games now. Meter burn, I think they call it, or Injustice or something. I don't know. I just remember doing Aquaman Spear and then more Aquaman Spear. But that is a constraint we have. Art budget is limited. Two, our input space is already incredibly crowded. And this is the issue I was running into with Farfist. So I'd have to come up, and remember, we can never do multi-button inputs because of mobile. So I would have to come up with a solution that fits on our current crowded input space, that is not ambiguous, that doesn't get triggered on accident, and also feels consistent to do, that would give an EX move. The closest I can think of, off the top of my head, is... And I think this was the case with the meter burn moves, which is that you didn't have to like declare it like Street Fighter, where you're like quarter circle forward 2 punches. Ooh, it was like press the button and then like press the button again, and then it turns into the EX mode. And so maybe like roundhouse on hit, you have the chance to like press a button like rapid, but it would be like it could be something we could assign per move. Maybe repeat the button or something, and it would then turn into the EX rapid or have like an EX follow up or something. But again, limited to existing animation. So I don't see it happening in the short term, but never say never. If you had to put a new character that was your social security number, what would it be? Nice try, Ellington. Hanson Phil says, I used to get the Grum several boxes of Waffle Crisp for his birthday. Oh, that's why Grum was freaking out. Yeah, let's go. Waffle Crisp is so good. Honestly, to repeat my answer, if it was like one cereal for the rest of my life, it'd probably be O-O's. Because I could totally see myself getting sick of Waffle Crisp, after like a month of eating it nonstop. But it's still my favorite cereal. Do you have any... Wilton Laws says, do you have any expectations for a turnout at Balance Patch? I have no idea, Wilton Laws. This is running at the same time as I think their normal weekly FGC event. So there should be warm bodies in the building. I don't know how many will be interested in our TLA side tourney. But we're trying to make it, low barrier to entry. It's going to be free. We're going to try to have a setup where people can test it out. It's a small angle of word of mouth marketing. Honestly, for me, it's more for like the fun experience of just having an offline event and watching people play live, offline, and just meeting people and hanging out. So, if a couple of people play the game, that's good enough for me. And if not, I still hung out at a cool gaming cafe for a day. And I have a bunch of friends in Boston, so I'm turning it into a trip. I'm going to do a bunch of stuff that weekend. So, I'm trying to enter this with very low expectations, so I can be very pleasantly surprised. But yeah, if you show up and you come in 4th place in a 4-man bracket, that's technically top 8. You get all the skins. So there you go. Dash is another good move. Blue Icy to Sunny. Yeah. Okay, these aren't questions. Reading. Any updates on a cat cam for your streams? Asked Kenny Rose. No, because Pepper is not the type of cat to sit still in a place and be cute. He does nap sometimes during the day, but often like under things or where it's dark or where it's cool. He's a sweet boy, but he's never in the same place. So I don't know how I'd convince him to come into this bed with any amount of, regularity if I set up a little bed and camera and stuff. Demiurge says, same, I did that, the download thing. Cool. Shiv Zane says, I just can't play online at school. So that would be an issue of they're probably blocking the URL that's like either my matchmaking server or something. If you want to DM, we can try and figure out what the root cause is, but it could be pretty difficult to get around. I am open to that. I made a tweet about wanting to work on like an official proxy for schools or businesses. When you're trying to play TLA while you're pooping and the man's trying to keep you down. But I can't promise anything. Skimming for questions. Acid asks, forgot about State of the Game. Did Paul talk about why Chip doesn't kill? Yes, we talked about it for like 20 minutes. Please check the VOD after the stream is over, or the YouTube video when it comes out later this month. Kenny Rose asks, are there any other onion options in the fire, or is fake hopkick good enough for now? I think fake hopkick and fixed parry is good enough for now. I still was open to adding another option. All the ideas I had turned out bad. I had a couple ideas. I had some, some fires in the iron. Irons in the fire, whatever you call it. I had some ideas, and off stream and a few on stream I was testing out like a sort of jump feint, or like a cross up dive kick. And I just couldn't figure out when you would like ever use this. It seemed to have, it was hard to design a move that was useful but not overpowered. It was really easy to make them totally garbage, and it was really easy to make them OP. But I couldn't find a way to use that idea. Like couldn't get the frame timing such that oh, you air feinted, but like the anti-air that they whiffed was light. Or if their anti-air was like Frenzy or SWAT, it still hit you because those things have massive hitboxes. So it's nothing yet, but maybe someday. He said, yeah, Boston Balance Patch. We'll have an official announcement within the next week. Hopefully, tomorrow or the next day. So follow the Twitter. Opinion on using onion parry versus onion parry. It should work, right, Luma? Let me know if it doesn't. Because I think I tested it with flex, and it works with flex, like if you safe jump flex and flex in response. And I think the cackle lightning has the same sort of startup as flex does. So, yeah, do it. Parry the parry. Vin says, yo, just found your game by accident and played with a friend for a good hour. Very, very, very good and fun game. Thank you, Vin. Or Vinny. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, but thank you so much. Thanks for stopping by the game. Now you might make it into a YouTube video. No promises. That's up to the editor. Question. Roasta Toasta says, eventually I want to make a TLA cabinet. I'm still optimistic about these Raspberry Pi builds. I just bought like sort of the best model you can have. The one I was testing on and talking about last month was, had slightly less RAM. So I'm going to start using the new one I got that's, top of the line. I think it was like $150 for the board and on the case and and the fan and all that stuff. And I'm going to start testing on that device. This is, probably after ranked and all that other stuff. But I want to use that system to do optimizations, because when I tried to, check performance on my dev machine, which is relatively strong, it's not very good at telling me like which parts of the code are the bottlenecks, because they're all, sub 1 millisecond. But on a weaker machine, I think I might be able to actually find like, oh, what's taking a long time, and I can target that. It's just hard to tell right now with the massive amount of logic flow and networking and everything. Someone telling me to enjoy the Discord. Cool. Wish I could map my hitbox buttons though. Oh, Vin, do your hitbox buttons not work? Because you should be able to set custom controls. If they're just like not showing up, try to DM me and maybe we can look into debugging that. I know with some fight sticks that I own, I had to like add some custom logic to recognize them. So feel free to join the Discord and DM me. I'm dev/unrequited love arena. I'm the only dev person you should, or the other dev is Amy. It should be pretty easy to find me, and feel free to DM me, and maybe later this week or this weekend we can talk about, I can give you a test build that shows what's going on, and you can give me feedback and we can figure it out. That's another reason I'm excited to go to an offline event. Thanks for reminding me. I want to go to Balance Patch and have people plug in their sticks and see which ones work and which ones don't, and fix that shit. Forkley Borkley Boy says hello. Welcome, Forkley Borkley Boy. And Bean So Cool. Bunch of first time chats. Thank you so much for stopping by. We are currently doing the Q&A at the end of the State of the Game for those who are new, who are just coming to the stream. And I have to stop sitting in a way that my face is clipping with the chat box. So I'll sit over here and lean. Young Strike asked a question that I've already refused to answer 3 times before, so I'm not going to say it. Wilton asked, what will happen to the April Fool's URL next year? And will the next AF patch be different from the previous one? One, I'm planning for the patch to be different. I might reuse some ideas, but the spirit will be the same. The actual details will certainly change. Characters and engine have changed a lot since April. And 2, I'm planning to have it be a separate URL. I'll probably move the current one to like April Fool's 2020 and make the new one at aprilfools.com. And if we do this for 5 more years, I'll do that setup. So April Fool's is the latest April Fool's, and the previous ones are archived by year. I think that's a fair compromise. I'm just now seeing the reactions to my dry cereal, so I have quite a bit of chat left to catch up on. The Grum says, what do you think about another artist submitting skins for the game, pending your approval of them? I would leave that to the domain of mods. You could totally make a mod of Onion and just keep all of Onion's logic and then add your own skin to them. Especially far out when hopefully, the balance changes really slow down and the mods are, consistently uniform with the current characters. But for main game stuff, that is 100% the domain of Amy. Amy is the co-creator of Tough Love Arena, and they are judge, jury, and executioner when it comes to all things art. Oh, Young Strike is correcting me. The EX move in Injustice was maybe called Amplify. Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, it probably wasn't called EX moves, but yeah. No questions, but this chat is fun to read. Catching up. Kenny Rose asks, can you say 3 numbers that aren't on the back of your credit card? Trying to find it by process of elimination. Oh, and also, my camera's frozen. Has it been like 5 times? Is it 5 times now? Okay, yeah, at this point we might have to do bloopers. Phil backs me up. O's are so good. Grum says, I have an artist friend who would be willing to do the work. I'd be happy to foot the bill as long as Paul and Aim are cool with it. I really appreciate the offer, Grum. But we are a little selfish in that we still plan to keep the main game development in-house for now. Maybe down the road. Roasted Toasta says, I mean, I'd do art for free. Well, Mao, no. Bad attitude, Roasted Toasta. Gotta get paid for your work. Amy said probably minutes ago, want me to bring him in? I can pick him up. Yeah, if you want to do a drive-by, Amy, go ahead and bring Pepper. We've got the big cam. If you want to bring in Pepper and you're still listening, please come in for a visit. Waddle asks, I can meet Paul, but can I meet Raul? That depends if I remember to pack my sunglasses. Shiggy asks, where in Boston? The venue's called Balance Patch. I think it's really close to like Boston University. But double check that. Don't take my word for it. And when in Boston? It will be a week after the online Halloween tournament, so October 22nd. More details coming soon. We'll tweet it out and stuff. TuffLoveArena.edu when? I don't think anyone can make a .edu. I was surprised that anyone can make a .org. I've had a couple .orgs in the past. I'll check on the edu. Someone remind me in Discord. Kenny Rose says, do you love Pepper with all your heart? No, I love Pepper with all my fart. I'm sorry, that's an inside joke. Pepper's very stinky. Oh, is he okay? Is he bad-mannered? It's okay. Oh, Pepper's coming in. There he is. Oh, yeah. Come here. There's the boy. Oh, the camera's glitching out. Oh. That's a good pet. Okay, goodbye. Pepper. Featuring the lovely Amy Shu. Kung Fu Kafwan says, would the cart boss be based on noodle or rice? Definitely noodle. Even though the other ones have been the black hearts, that wasn't really a trend. It was just like, whose special moves can I get more mileage out of? For Garlic, I was always planning to have the boss be like a super souped up, dashing, teleporting character. For the meat boss, I wanted them to have Caper and Chop as opposed to Lemon. Didn't want the boss to have that projectile. And for the carbs, I have so many more interesting ideas with Frenzy and Fist than I do with Teleport and Swat. So, again, to be clear, nothing is coded yet. I saw some speculation in the Discord chat, but when it is done, that's who it will be. Grom says, also, folks in school, you can work with Paul at getting around your school's content filter at your own risk. Yeah, no, sorry. Kids need to learn. I'm not here trying to ruin anyone's childhood. You gotta get good grades and you know, get a good job and be set up for a good life. And this is not legal advice, and I take no responsibility. And Grom has told me some stories about kids getting busted. So please don't please game responsibly. Wasn't asked what were the ideas for Onion. I want to play around with the mod tool. It was mainly that. I was thinking about jump with a feint, I was thinking about a sort of jump that would go far and have no push box so it could cross up to try and like get around certain anti-airs. That one could maybe still have mileage, but I don't want to steal. I don't want to overlap too much with, you know, dash trip, right? I don't want it to be the same. It should feel like a unique tool. So nothing from you. Oh, Amy says I DM'd you art, and I just saw this because I'm so behind on chat. Oh my god, it looks so good! Okay. So this is our balance patch announcement art. That looks so good. Thank you, Amy. So we'll send that to the balance patch people in a second, and we'll both be promoting it in the upcoming weeks. So if you're really eager, you can screenshot right now to write down the info. But that looks so good. I love it. I know I'd seen like the sketch before, but that looks really good. It came together. I love all the lighting. Okay. Still reading questions. Let me pop back over to the Q&A view. I should put a Q&A label on this for next time. Yeah, I now see people telling me that the camera was frozen 5 minutes ago. Vate, ER8, a new first-time viewer, asked, can we get an Alex-like character with jumping grabs? I like Alex. I played a bunch of Alex in Street Fighter V back when he was still doo-doo. I saw some recent tier lists that apparently he's good now. That's really cool. I haven't kept up with the game. But, I will admit, or if it's not obvious to people, Beef's jump is heavily inspired by Alex's rising knee. The sort of that specific type of anti-air I found so satisfying with Alex. The coming up to meet you in the air, like so bad if guessed wrong in Alex's case. You know, meat OS's into a jump attack, but and by meat I mean, you know, beef and pork. But if you're meaning like you jump into the grab, we experimented with that in April Fools, where Garlic, when sneaking and appearing behind the opponent, you could press an input to turn it into essentially an empty jump into an automatic land throw. And that's something that I still consider, or you know, could be on the table. Except I didn't really think. I still don't think Garlic needs it. Yeah, Alex is cool. If you're going to be playing Nick All-Star, who are you maining? Honestly, like, I really love half the shows on there, so the one closest to my heart is probably like Zim. But I was just looking at the roster today, and I can't remember. There's someone I saw that I really wanted to play. Like for nostalgia, I would play Zim, but I'm sure he sucks or something. I'll try out everyone once I get it. But I'm very busy for the next few weeks. I know it comes out like tomorrow, right? So I'll probably be a little late to the game. Cal Meckenpie, sorry you missed quite a bit. Thanks for the first time chat. We're doing Q&A now. Definitely check out the VOD after the stream ends. We had a good like hour and 10 minutes worth of slides. No, hour and a half of slides or something, where we talked about a bunch of recent changes and upcoming stuff. So please check that out. There, we'll also edit it down and upload on YouTube. But an FYI for people in chat, me and Amy are both so busy trying to finish things for the Halloween tournament and other personal deadlines that the YouTube edit for this state of the game will come a lot later than usual. And we'll announce that on Twitter and stuff. So we'll link to the VOD if you want to watch the VOD. The VOD should automatically be up for, I think, about 14 days, 2 weeks. But State of the Game usually comes out about a week after. It's definitely going to be late this month. But we consider, the Halloween tournament to be higher priority. The important thing about putting on YouTube is really just for posterity. Yeah, people are reacting to the pepper. I really want the camera to freeze now and not be fixed. Shiggy asks, I think I brought this up, but if you ever want mastering on the sound effects to bring up the highs, make them crispy and stuff in the future, don't hesitate to reach out. Oh, 100%. Me and Amy were just talking the other day about eventually bringing in someone to help with sound mixing and stuff. But we're not at that phase yet. So I appreciate the offer, Shiggy. And we will keep you in mind. Paul, once you release, let me do a Carb Boss showcase trailer. Sure, if you want to. Yeah, that'd be awesome. We'll definitely plug it. Luma says, hot tip, if you have a Chromebook or some sort of computer you take home, load before going into school on your Wi-Fi. That could definitely work, except for the problem of it loads assets dynamically, so you'd have to like pre-load by starting a match with like every character. And we can work on a solution for that. Maybe, honestly, long-term, once we get the Android app released, I know you can just run Android apps on Chromebook, so that might be a good solution going forward. I'm sorry. We got major sniffles. Give me 1 second. Okay. We're back. It's all that spicy food. Okay. Chrome says, chances are Slim, your IT team will find out, but if they do find out you're getting around their filter, I can't imagine they'll be happy. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, nice. Amy's going to post a non-promo version of the Discord if you just want the art. I'll have to check out the Discord. Meet, comma, the dev. Amy is nuts. Nuts good. D's nuts. Whatever. I messed up. We're moving on. Esid asks, what do you think about having the ability to cancel caber into normal throw? For the cross-up? I don't like that. I want normal throw to be a distinct option with its own advantages. If you want normal throw, just do normal throw. It's faster. You can't meaty it. But it's, I don't want to just, make forward heavy a useless move. Zim is top tier according to the devs. Ooh. Ooh. Luma says, I just need to load the title screen. Oh, okay. So in that case, and that's how it usually works. So yeah, you just need the code. That's the part that's on a blocklisted domain. All the assets, although you do need to load them dynamically, those are from a pretty generic like Google Cloud domain. So that makes sense. My apologies. Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable workaround. Amy, I don't know. Is that Whooper? Um, looks like I finally caught up. We got there. Only took a half hour. Thank you so much for all the questions. That was fun. I if any posts any I'll take 30 seconds of more questions if there's any last things that people want to ask. Last chance, and then I'm shutting this down. You have until I finish sipping. Mumi, you better type them fast. She asked, what was the best thing you ate today? What did I eat today? I ate a chicken bacon ranch from Subway. I had sort of a weird morning, and so sometimes, so I ate it pretty early. You know, like ate 6 inches at 10, and ate the other 6 inches at like 3, and then I had a small dinner of spicy chicken, as I call it, which is diced up and fried chicken cooked with red peppers and peppercorn and onion and garlic and other spices. Gives you that really good, like, numbing spice, where it's not painful, but like after 10 minutes of eating, it creeps up on you and you're just like, you know, boogers full on running. And I made the mistake of eating this 20 minutes before stream started. How many shoes? I don't understand the question, Phil. Sorry. 1 + 1, 2 + 2, 3 + 3. Oh, is that times? Oh my god, let me see if I can do this. 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144? Oh god. Okay, now I gotta slow down. 169. Nice. I can do it. 196? Is 14 times 14 196? Fingers crossed. If I'm wrong, Amy edited it out. Got him. Okay, I'm gonna call the stream there. If you want to keep goofing, dev stream will be tomorrow from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern, the usual time. I'll probably crank out. I just burped on camera. It's embarrassing. I'll probably crank out some quick fixes like the mod request, but then I plan to spend most of the stream working on lobbies because I'm in deep, and I can see I feel so close to getting to a point where I can start testing it and then finding out where the real bugs are. So much work still left to do, but really promising so far. I'm not answering these questions. Shiggy, don't troll. Okay, now people are talking about 1 = 0.9 repeating, which is technically true. I God, I used to know a mathematical proof for this. But I'm not about to try and MS Paint it. So, I'm tired. Thank you everyone for stopping by. This has been a very wonderful state of the game. Again, the YouTube edit will be a little later this month, probably much later. So if you missed bits, if you want to catch it again, if you want to share it with someone, just rewatch the the Twitch VOD. It should be up for 14 days. And just because I think with the policy, I think it auto deletes after 14 because I'm not a big enough deal on Switch or something. But definitely check that out. Check out the Patreon if you want to financially support the game and get a few little perks. We just added an exclusive Discord channel where we talk about the beta tests, the canary test as I call them, that we do sometimes. And if you want to find out more about our financial situation, and we also have twice a month calls with the developers, sort of, one-on-one or three-on-one or something. So thank you so much for your time. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. It's very fun to work on this game, and it's very fun. It's even more fun to work on this game when there's an audience and people play it. It was fun to work on the game last year. It's way more fun to work on the game this year. So, cheers. Cheers to you. With my water bottle. Cheers. And dev streams tomorrow. Next day of the game will be whatever the first Monday of November is. Ta-ta.